Hey, what's going on, family? Welcome to your Monday live stream. I was going to say Monday night. It is about 4:30 on Monday evening, and I am your host, Sir Ashley. I am your Charlotte, Carolina real estate advisor, and on this channel, we talk about all things real estate, Carolinas, and the Charlotte market, as well as touch on money topics as well. So if any of those things interest you, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tap on that bell icon if you can. Let me know where you're watching from. All engagement is encouraged, even if you disagree with what I say. This is open for all. I don't claim to know everything. I want to be able to share with you what I'm seeing in the market, and you all share with me what you're seeing, because I'll talk to agents, I talk to my agents, I see what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis as well. So I'm always looking for feedback in real time, because what we're going to touch on today is the December housing update for the Charlotte region. Now, when I talk about December, the numbers for November just came out. So we're always a month behind, a month in arrears. So we're going to go over what's happening in the Charlotte market based on the November numbers and an article that just came out earlier today, and how what I'm seeing and how it's playing out in December and what that means for buyers and sellers moving into the new year. So again, I want to empower you so you know exactly what's happening, so you can position yourself the best way possible. We're going to look at the local landscape. We're also going to touch on, I'm going to do a separate video, a recorded video about all the major developments that I believe is going to shift the Charlotte region or change the Charlotte region in 2025. But we're going to touch on some of that in this video. And we're also going to talk about inventory and pricing trends and see. We're not going to, obviously, we don't have December's numbers because we don't get it back until January, but we're going to see what actually happened year over year so far in the housing market, and if prices crashed, which everybody was saying was going to do. So go ahead, leave a comment, let me know where you're watching from. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I know I came in a little early because I have an event for my daughter tonight. She's in dance and I want to see her dance. So hopefully you don't mind. Well, even if you do mind, I got to be there for my kid. So that's why I'm doing it a little earlier today. Let's jump right into it. Where are we at here? No, not that way. Let's do it this way. Okay. I'm getting a little better with this layout right here. It says, so as you see, this article is from December 16th, earlier today, from Kim Walker, coming from Canopy. That is the local MLS. And it talks about the Charlotte region. Home sales rose again in November. It rose 4.5% year over year. Now, that's significant because interest rates, although they're lower than they were last year this time, people are still complaining about interest rates being higher. And in fact, I saw interest rates ended today on average, the national average, at 6.93%. Now, I did see last week they're at 6.67, but at almost 7% interest rate, we still see home sales rose year over year. So all the people that are sitting on the sidelines thinking, you know what, I'm not going to buy because of the interest rates and all that. Well, people are buying. And that's going to have an impact on you. You sitting on the sideline waiting is going to have an impact on you. And I'm going to share with you how that will impact you later on in this video. And this data is taken from the 3140 homes sold across the 16 county region. That is the greater Charlotte MSA. As buyers continued to signal desire to purchase homes at year end. So typically what ends up happening is home sales starts to dissipate the further on in the year. Around September, October, November, December, home sales slow down. What we're seeing right now is the past 2 months. So this data is November. So October and November, home sales actually rose. So take it for what you may. People have been sitting on the sidelines waiting to come into the housing market. And that's what I've been trying to share with people that has been watching the videos, watching the stream, and even clients of mine trying to figure out how they want to position themselves. Here we go. how they want to position themselves. Um, Sometimes waiting can be very detrimental. And as we're seeing right here, more competition is coming into the market. I know you see me, I am a real estate agent, and you're saying, no, you're always telling people they should buy now, buy now. And what I'm doing actually is looking at the data, I'm looking at the numbers, and I share that with you on the regular basis so you can see what I see. Now, yes, I have conversations with other real estate professionals, a lot of real estate professionals, and my clients and colleagues and customers that I get to see what's going on in the day to day, and I try to present that to you, the data, not what I'm feeling or anything like that. The data. The data speaks for itself. So you don't have to agree with me, but it's right here. We're seeing a strong desire for buyers coming to the market. Where are we at here? We see sales compared to the previous month, October, were down 6.3%. Now, November, you do have what Thanksgiving you're dealing with. So I'm not going to say the time the law offices and everything were closed really amounted to 6.3% decline, but buyers were lured back into the market when they locked in the interest rate at 6.08%. So think about the timeline of closings. You have homes that go under contract in September. It typically takes anywhere from 30 to 45 days, roughly 30 to 60 days to close. So homes that are closing in November actually went under contract in September or early October, typically. And then the closings that will take place in December typically will go under contract in October or November, right? And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, buyers are out there buying. Actually, I had a showing earlier today with the client, looking at a beautiful, beautiful single family home in the Charlotte suburb. I had several clients go under contract last week to take advantage of some of these incentives new construction builders are offering. So buyers are out in the market. So if you're sitting around, again, I'll show you later how that's going to impact you, but it might not be the best move to sit around and wait. Here we go. And it goes on to say pending contracts rose sharply for the second consecutive month in November. So although, what did it say? Sales compared to October were down. Pending contracts, meaning homes that will be sold in November, in December or January, rose sharply, rose 22.5% year over year. So those are the homes that we expect based on this right here. Now, some will fall out of contract. It's just part of nature of the game. Some of them will fall out of contract, but these are the closings that will take place in December or early January. You do see contract activity down 14%. November showing reports trafficking, buyers foot traffic revealed a 12% year over year increase. Now, I like to compare year over year. And yes, it's nice to see month over month and what happens month to month just to get a good gauge. But when we're really comparing it, we need to compare year over year and then actually take a bird's eye view and compare like the last 5 years, last 10 years to see how buyer activity or seller activity is actually going. The buyer interest is strongest in Matthews and Concord, where the average listing was on the market, had 5.3 showings, followed by Huntersville and Kannapolis, which had about 4.8 showings and 4.7 showings before they went under contract. So what does that mean for you, buyers and sellers? If you're in the market to look for a home in Matthews or Concord, chances are, if you're a buyer, the home is not going to sit on the market that long. And if you're a seller, that's good news for you. I actually have a client, that is listing their home in Matthews, and I believe that home is going to go fairly soon. Based on this number, I believe it's going to go very fast, and it's priced very reasonable as well, with 5 showings before it goes under contract, a little more than 5 showings, and then Huntersville and Kannapolis. So if we're looking at the map of Charlotte, let me see if I can pull one up, we can see where the hot areas are. You have Matthews, which is, hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. Here's my mouse. There it is. Okay. Matthews. So you have Concord and Kannapolis, Huntersville, which is north of Charlotte. And then you have Matthews, which is south, I want to say southeast of Charlotte, a little east of Charlotte. Let's see if I can pull this up and show you all. Sorry, where are we at here? Trying to zoom in here. All right, I'm sharing this tab instead. Here we go. All right, the Charlotte area. Here we go. So we have Charlotte right here. And then just north of Charlotte, you have Kannapolis right here, and you have Concord. So you have homes being sold quickly, Kannapolis, Concord, and then you have Huntersville right here as well. So again, those of you not familiar with the area, this is giving you a visual of where things are. And then you have Matthews, again, southeast of Charlotte, right here. Homes are selling fast in Matthews as well. Now, a lot of people are overlooking, well, I wouldn't say a lot, Indian Trail. There's a lot of action and activity taking place in Indian Trail and Indian Land, South Carolina. You want to go where builders are going, and both of those areas, there's a heavy builder presence in both of those areas. Let's go back to here. Now, this is the president of our MLS, Charisma Sutherland. It says November contract activity marks the second consecutive month of significant growth, signaling strong pent-up demand amongst buyers. Now, this is what if you're a buyer, I'm concerned about. Because if this year, and it's showing to be the case, is anything like the last 2 to 3 years, as soon as that first weekend in January hit, there was a swarm of buyers coming into the market. Now, that's a good thing if you're a seller. It's an awful thing if you're a buyer. Reason why it's awful is because there's more competition. And when there's more competition, that means you're not going to get as many good deals or great deals, whether it be from the incentives builders are offering and or normal sellers. So waiting might not work in your benefit if that buyer demand, which is showing to be prevalent, really comes about and takes a turn like I believe it will continue to do. Now it says several key factors underscore the strength of Charlotte housing market, including growing population and high job growth. Now I understand people that are in the area, they are, what should I say, frustrated with the job market and saying there's not enough high paying jobs and everything. However, there are tons and tons, and I'm about to highlight a few, excellent companies that are located here in the greater Charlotte region. When I say excellent, I'm talking about high paying companies in the Charlotte area or are coming to the Charlotte area. And that's what's bringing the population. And when we talk about high job growth, that's what it's talking about. So if you're a local, what do I recommend you do? There's a couple things you can do. One, if you don't want to compete, you can move a little further out from the city center. Gaston County, you saw Kannapolis. You see a high demand for Kannapolis. That's a little further out. You have just north of Kannapolis, you have Salisbury. You also have Spencer, those areas, Albemarle. Now we're talking what, 45 minutes to an hour out. And that's one option. Right now, if you want to be closer, you have Stanley, which is about 25 minutes away, 25 minutes. Mount Holly, but we're trying to think something affordable. Mount Holly is affordable. Cramerton, I was looking at some houses under 500,000. in Cramerton earlier today. Beautiful houses, nice yard, nice lawn, 4 bedroom for well under 500. Where else? You have South Carolina, you have York, you have parts of Fort Mill, not really too much in TUK that's under 500,000. But you have these things you can tap into, these areas, if you're local and don't want to compete. But what I recommend, I'm always encouraging people to better themselves, obtain new skills, is to see what jobs, what companies are coming here, and what needs do they have. You're already here. What needs do they have to where you can get that certification or get that training, get that skill, and as opposed to them relocating somebody to the area, you can raise your hand, submit your resume, and fill those positions. That's what I recommend, but I understand that will require, a little bit of inconvenience. But if you ask me, moving further out from the city center is inconvenient as well, right? So it's how do you want to be inconvenienced? Here we go. And we talk about what jobs, what companies are here in the Charlotte area. We have this right here, the 10 biggest companies headquartered in Charlotte. Scroll down. The 10 biggest companies headquartered in the Charlotte region, the largest publicly traded ones by revenue, right? So you have Bank of America. Charlotte is the retail banking capital of our country, debatably world. Lowe's, I know several people employed by Bank of America and by Lowe's. Their headquarters is in Mooresville. And Mooresville is another highly sought after suburb where we're talking single family homes under 500,000. Honeywell, my next door neighbor actually works at Honeywell. And you talk about just opportunities and growth. Please, all these companies that are on this list, I say go to LinkedIn, go to Indeed, see what kind of positions are opening or opening to see how you can fill those or what skills you may need. Because these companies pay quite well. Nucor, Truist. Now, Nucor is a steel maker. They employ 22,000. Truist, Duke Energy, Sonic Automotive. That's something I was not aware of, if I'm being honest. You have Albemarle Corp, CommScope, sorry. LPL Financial, which is dual headquartered in Fort Mill and San Diego. You can't get off of exit 88 here off of 77 without seeing the huge LPL logo from the skyline. So you have, and LPL is ranked 392 on the Fortune 500 list. So you have these employers, these businesses headquartered in the Charlotte area. If you're here, take advantage of that. If you're moving here, well, I just gave you a list of large companies that are always seeking talent. And these companies, again, pay very well, very well. Now, obviously, it depends on the position and where you're at and experience, but typically they pay very well. And where are we at here? Now I want to talk about a couple of things that I am very excited about, and I'm gonna do a whole video on this right here. Let me see if I can share this. Hold on. Share screen. Here we go. It talks about 8 most anticipated Charlotte developments of 2025. Now, these are like neighborhoods and stuff, not really neighborhood. These are developments. I'm going to do a video talking about these developments and more, but also do a top 10, I want to say 10, it might be 5 or 7, most anticipated housing developments or communities that will be built in 2025 and what you need to be on the lookout for. So if that's something you're interested in new construction in the greater Charlotte region, be sure hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, because I will be dropping that video probably the first week of January. And I have more videos coming talking about loan products. What did I just film? I talked about family-friendly neighborhoods in Charlotte. I'm going to do, actually, I just filmed family-friendly neighborhoods in the Charlotte suburbs outside of Charlotte proper. So please be on the lookout for that one as well. Now, these development projects are massive because it has a capacity or ability to change just traffic patterns, migration patterns, relocation patterns, all within the Charlotte region. The Iron District. Now, the Iron District, here we go. West Moorhead Avenue, where until recently Charlotte Pipeline operated. In coming years will be transformed to a destination that's more on par with South End surroundings. So if you're familiar with South End and Loso, well, closer to uptown, you're going to have the Iron District. And I am very excited about this. I love Loso, and I really enjoy South End, the different breweries. Aside from the breweries, who's into pickleball? Leave in the comment in the chats if you ever played pickleball, because I love it. And they have this place in South End called Rally. It's an indoor-outdoor pickleball facility. It has a full bar, it has a full restaurant. You can lounge, sit back, and chill. If you like it, let me know, because I'm thinking about having an event there. Now, the event will be for my agents, but we'll see if we can invite people from the public as well. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to the screen. Where are we at here? Okay. So the first phase of the Iron District will include a 150-room hotel, 500 residential units, and 100,000 square feet of retail space. Now, what's going on, brother? He says, never heard of pickleball until he moved down here, but once he did, he saw probably. You haven't played yet? D, we got to get you out there. Now, 40 pounds ago, I would have been moving real swiftly. Reason why I love pickleball is because it's a miniature, this is a cross between tennis and ping pong, right? To where the courts are about half the size of tennis courts and you don't have to move as much. And the racket or paddle reminds you of a ping pong paddle. It's nice. It's a good time. You can get a good workout in if that's what you're going for without much exertion or having to worry about tearing an Achilles or anything like that. So that's why I like it. And not only is it popular, like there's communities with it where it's really popular, where I really enjoy it. I play it with some of my older clients or clients that became friends. 55 and older communities take pickleball very serious. When I'm talking about serious, I mean they have competitions and tournaments on the weekends, the 55 and older communities. So if that is your demographic, reach out to me. I will put you in contact, or I'll be able to show you some excellent communities that just 55 and older communities that really are all encompassing when it comes to amenities and community environment. But yes, pickleball, we got to get you out there. Rally, actually, rally. We'll set something up. I'll make sure you get the invite. So we have the Iron District, and I'll go further into that. You have Center South. Now, again, off of South Boulevard. If you're looking at where things are, at least for the first two, right in that South corridor, South Boulevard, South End, Loso, that's where it's happening. That's where the shift is coming, to where when I moved to the Charlotte area, everything was uptown. So uptown was where you wanted to be. And as of right now, the epicenter isn't quite epic right now, right? Everything's happening in Noda or South End or Loso. So this is following that trend. And what Center South is on the edge of Dilworth. You have almost 1,000 residential units, including 21 townhomes. That's weird. I'm just noticing this. Almost 975 residential units with only 21 townhomes. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of condos because 16.5 acres is not a lot to put a single family homes. So that's just what I noticed right there. Dilworth luxury high rise. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how I feel about this one because Dilworth, if you checked out one of my videos, Dilworth is one of those family-friendly neighborhoods in Charlotte, and it's really family-friendly for all age groups and demographics, but it has a unique character and feel. And if you put luxury high-rises there, I think not even think, I know it's going to change the landscape of that community, right? Dilworth isn't I'm not going to say it's hippie or anything like that, but you have typically smaller single family homes, and then now you have people that came in, knocked those down, little mini mansions, but they're single family homes. Having a luxury high rise. Now, yes, you have some apartment buildings in Dilworth, but this is going to be interesting to see. And I'm not sure how, we'll see. It doesn't really matter how much I like it or not, it's happening. But how much impact it's going to have on the community and what changes it may take place. Metropolitan Apartments, man, I love Metropolitan. You have Dressler's, you have Bank of America right there, but Metropolitan is right outside of 45. I'm sorry, 277 Loop, and this is years ago. I looked at a place I was thinking about buying in the Metro, in the Met. But you have a 27-story apartment tower in Midtown, 283 unit luxury residential tower. And when we talk about affordability, right? One, that area is right outside of what 277. I'm trying to think of what it's called, 277. It's right outside. So it's not, I wouldn't say classified as affordable, right? But once you add 283 luxury residential tower units, the pricing will go up. And when you think about neighborhoods around there, you have the Cherry neighborhood, which is an historically Black neighborhood in Charlotte that's being gentrified. And that is so close to that neighborhood. I can see that bleeding into causing the homeowners in that area there's already an issue with taxes increasing, right? And not being able to keep up or pay the property taxes. I can see that causing property prices to go up even further, even higher in that neighborhood and surrounding, and causing more gentrification to occur. So that is something to look out for. And whether I like it or not, it's happening, not just here in the Charlotte area, but all around the country, for good or for bad. Carson and Tryon. Now, this is something that, being honest with you, I was not aware of. This one is 200 apartments, 200 room hotel. And maybe the reason why I wasn't aware of it is because it's not like something residential for sale, but I wasn't aware of this one. I'll do more research on that one. Vela Uptown. I was aware of this one. Shout out to Scott. He's an agent in my office. He brought this one to me, earlier this year. And this is going to be a beautiful, just area. As you see, it'll be 38-story tower where the Levine Museum and New South Building was uptown. It's going to have 412 units with amenities like a dog spa, a club room, fitness center, resort style pool and spa, and co-working space. So that's technically uptown. So you're still going to have some things right uptown. But if you look on the map where that one is, it is closer to South End than it is to the epicenter. Right? If you go right across the overpass from what is that 277, you're right into technically what is South End. And the construction on that starts in 2025. Providence Square. Now this is more toward Providence Road, South Park area-ish. You have 220 townhouses and 1,500 multifamily units. Brooklyn and Church. This is one uptown. Now I am anticipating this one right here, Brooklyn and Church. Look at this rendering. So yeah, you have a 448 unit apartment tower, which I'm not sure how I feel about the apartment tower, but they're taking ideas from across the country, other larger metropolitan areas, and implementing and bringing them to Charlotte, right? They partnered up with the Washington, D.C. based firm and most of these are partnerships with other firms from elsewhere in the country, just trying to grow the footprint. Let me see if I can mess around with this. Grow the footprint of Charlotte and just expand its, I don't know what you want to call it. I can't just drew a blank. Expand how the construction, the building, how things look. Charlotte, people complain. If you're from Charlotte, you complain that Charlotte right now doesn't have any culture or anything that it's known for because everything's new. And I get it. I get it. Everything's new, but this is going to obviously continue that trend, but gives us a little flair, a little flash to where everything doesn't look as cookie cutter as it does in certain parts of Charlotte, right? So I do like that aspect of it. And as I dive into it further, I want to talk about why waiting may not be the best option for you, because here we go, present. Here we go. Back to this article. It says prices inched higher last month due to back-to-back months of rising buyer demand, where the median sales price had a modest increase of 3.7% year over year, and that's healthy. Back in COVID, price increases were 15. I don't want to exaggerate. I think it was 15, maybe 20 one year, which is unsustainable. I don't wish that on anybody. 2 to 6% year over year price increase is manageable and doable, considering the market and being stable. We don't have to worry about price crashing. Where it rose to almost 400,000. While the average sales price rose, that's the median sales price. The average sales price rose to almost 500,000 at 487,000. So this is where I want to caution you to wait, because as you see, there's more demand coming to the area. And there's, as I showed you before, all these businesses that are in the area, high paying businesses that are bringing in the residents, the people causing that demand, so much so you have several projects taking place that will change the shift and dynamics of how things work in Charlotte, or the flow of people in Charlotte. And as that demand rises, that's going to cause pricing to go up, because we only have a limited amount of homes, right? Builders can only build but so much and so fast. The average list price rose during the month 7.7% to $500,000. Now, list price is good to know. Is it the end all be all? No, it really comes down to what it sells for. But typically in the Charlotte region, you're talking about homes sell anywhere from 88 to 99% of the list price, depending on where you are in the Charlotte region. So list price It's not a telltale, but just know it's going to be, if you see 500,000, you may pay 99% of that, or you may pay 88% of that. Just really depends. Oh, right here it says um, list price measured is down in the 16 county region to 95.7. So of that 500,000, on average, you're going to be paying 95.6%, depending on where you are. Some areas you're paying much higher than that, or higher than that. Some you're paying significantly less than that. So if you have any questions regarding the housing market here in Charlotte or what's happening, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. That is what I do. I study the data, not just study the data. I work with clients on a day-to-day basis. I've helped over 1,000 people, families move to this area. And I love what I do. And when I mean this area, I'm talking about the greater Charlotte region. We're talking the 16 counties, right? I was just down, now this isn't the Charlotte area, but I was just down in Spartanburg this past weekend. Shout out to my clients that went under contract that are buying a house in Spartanburg. Congratulations. They were living in the Charlotte area, but they saw the influx of things happening and everything. They're like, no, we want to step away a little bit. We don't want to be in the heart of it. And their jobs allowed them to be able to work from anywhere. And they found an amazing deal in Spartanburg. So Spartanburg is about, depending on traffic, anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half outside of Charlotte proper. But again, depending on how you live, it may be a good fit for you, because the house they found is by a builder that can build here in Charlotte the same exact floor plan for 100. Now they did get upgrades and stuff like that. About $120,000 cheaper for the same exact house, larger land, larger lot, but you're in Spartanburg. So, and I mean, if you look at Spartanburg, I'm putting out a video, actually not on this channel, on another channel, talking about the up and coming emerging areas in South Carolina, and Spartanburg is one of them. So you want to be where builders are going and look at the data and position yourself properly. Where are we at here? Sorry. Let's wrap up by talking about Mecklenburg County. Mecklenburg County is where Charlotte is located. Home sales rose 8.4% year over year. Now sales are down 6.2% month over month, and that's right on par with what it was on the greater Charlotte region. It was 6.3, I believe. Now the pending contracts rose 16%. Excuse me. Month of supply. Here we go. 2.2 months of supply in Mecklenburg County. Now that is, if I see 2.2 months, yes, it's significantly better than what it was during COVID, which was like 0.3, 0.4 a month, but it's still very much a seller's market. Not until you get to 4, 5, 6 months of supply, and that's even pushing it, but usually 6 months, but if you want to push the envelope, 4, 5, 6, is it a buyer's market? So look and see how long that house has been on the market to see how much leeway or leverage you may be able to have realistically. Now, hell, it can be on the market one day and you can go with a lowball offer. They probably won't take it, but it's been on the market for 60 days where you're at the 2.2 months. You might have a better option or better opportunity to get a much better price. Average sales price in Mecklenburg County was $586,000, while the median sales price was $446,000. Now, this is something that I am looking forward to based on all of the people that I've been looking at and reading, saying that mortgage rates are predicted to stabilize in 2025. Now, stabilize means stabilize. It doesn't mean come down. So this is why, again, waiting might not be the best option. I'm not saying come down. I'm talking about stabilize to where they're at 6.93 right now. We're talking around 6.5, maybe 6. There's some forecasters that say high 5s, and one I saw was like 5.5. That's an anomaly, but if we have that stabilization, we know exactly what we're dealing with, as opposed to the fluctuation we've had this past year, where rates they've been up, but they've been all over the place. Um, Sometime this year, we're talking high sevens. It got down to 6%. Right now, we're back at 6.93. But then, if you look and see, you have builders. Some of them are offering 3.99, 4.5, 5.5 for 30-year fixed rates. So again, you want those opportunities, reach out to me. I'd love to connect you and show you what's available for you. Where are we at here? Number of single family homes produced. There we go. Fortunately, based on the number of single-family homes permitted for construction this past year, new builds in 2025, combined with existing home inventory, will continue to make Charlotte an attractive location with a lot of options for buyers. And I talk to new home builders daily, and yes, they have tons of development projects coming up. But again, there's over 100 people moving to the area. And let's just say 40 a day, sorry, hundreds of people a day, over 100 people a day. And let's say 40% of them buy a house, right? They're going to need 40% is going to buy, 60% is going to rent. And that demand is going to cause pricing to go up. And when we talk about people or builders building in the Charlotte region, I don't want you to think that means Charlotte. Charlotte region can go as far out as Shelby. Great deals right now in Shelby, North Carolina. We're talking York, South Carolina. Amazing deals happening right now in York, South Carolina. Even Lancaster, South Carolina. Amazing deals. But I don't want you to think like, oh, there's going to be tons of inventory in Charlotte proper. There will be some, but that purchase price is going to be up there. If you have any questions, hold on one second. I do have a question. Random username. When a builder is offering credits, can the buyer via the realtor ask for additional concessions? If so, what are good examples, or is that not a good idea? Yes. It's funny you mentioned this because I was negotiating this past weekend, and yes, you can always ask for more. It doesn't hurt to ask for more by any means, right? But you have to know the landscape. You have to know what's actually happening in the market, right? Not just from what's happening with buyers, but from the builder's perspective as well, right? You have to be aware of it all. But yes, you can ask for more. Let's say they're offering credits to buy down the interest rate. Okay, well, how many credits? Are they offering 3%? Well, depending on the loan, we can go up to 6%, right? So ask for more, right? And then oppose from just credits. You can ask for washer, dryer, blinds, refrigerator. There's different things you can ask for. You can ask for them to pay your HOA for the year or multiple years. There's different concessions that you can ask for and credits. So no, this doesn't hurt to ask, but it really just comes down to, okay, is this for a lot of builders right now, or at least half the builders in this area, their fiscal year is coming to an end in December. Now, chances are, I don't want to say you can't, but it's going to be very tight to go under contract and close by the end of December and take advantage of some of these amazing incentives that some builders are offering. But we may be able to roll that in, depending on the builder and what they have going on, to where a lot of builders want to end the year on a high note, even if that means pending contracts went up, right? So that's something you can do. And whether or not it's a good idea really comes down to, one, the purchase price, because some communities are in high demand because of their purchase price and because it's affordable. If you're dealing with a community in the I'm talking about further out from Charlotte, you're not going to find something in the 200 range in Charlotte or a county that's touching Mecklenburg County, but a little further out in the twos or even threes, that's probably going to be a community that's in very high demand. So you may not get as many concessions or concessions that you would think or that you would want because you're up against more buyer competition. Another question is, can realtors include contingencies in the offer that the buyer would get back deposit? So, question is, can realtors include contingencies in the offer that the buyer get back the deposit in the unfortunate event of job loss? If so, do they generally respond favorably? Now, this depends. This depends in the sense that, okay, let's say, now I'm assuming, let me go both scenarios. Let's go a resale home. Now, if it's a resale home and you're doing FHA, right? FHA, there's a FHA financing and contingency when you make that offer. And I just put a video talking about FHA loans and how I believe there can be a cheat code if used properly to get into the housing market. Check that one out. But if they're using FHA, there's already a contingency. So let's say you lose your job, that means you obviously can't, unless you get a new one right away, you will no longer be approved for that mortgage because you don't have the income. So because that contingency is in place, you will get back your earnest money deposit, most likely. And depending on what's going on, you may get back your due diligence deposit. Now, in North Carolina, we can talk about this further, and I have videos talking about what both are. When you go into contract in North Carolina, you have due diligence deposit and earnest money deposit. Typically, your due diligence deposit allows you to get inspections done, and you're never going to get that back, ever, no matter what happens, even if you decide not to move forward. But if you do move forward, you get credited for it. Earnest money deposit gets sent to the attorney's office or the title company, and they're holding on to it. And let's say you back out during the due diligence phase for job loss or whatever, you will get that back. Now, when we talk about new construction, um, all new construction builders in this area that I'm aware of, in the greater Charlotte area, and it's not the case outside the Charlotte area, but they require you to get pre-approved with their preferred lender, whether it's an in-house lender or just one they work with, before you go under contract. And part of the contract, once you get approved and all that, they write up the contract and you go over everything. But in that contract, there is a financing contingency. And I've experienced this. I've had clients go through this where the builder initially approves them. The builder's preferred lender or in-house lender approves my client to buy a house. Good. Move to the next step. Well, 2 weeks, 3 weeks go on, and this typically happens. Well, it happens with inventory homes, but also happens with new construction building from ground up. You get a call from the lender saying we can't move forward with this loan for X, Y, and Z purposes. And yes, that leaves an awful taste in my buyer's mouth and mine too, because you're the same people that just said I was approved because you've seen all my documents, you've seen everything, 2 weeks ago. What's going on? Nothing has changed. Well, if you're using their preferred lender and they say they can no longer get you approved, you will get your earnest money deposit back. And with new construction, there's only earnest money deposit. So you will get that back. If their preferred lender who said you were approved now say you are no longer able to be approved, you will get that back. So you will get that deposit back. I know it's scary thinking about losing thousands and thousands of dollars due to an unfortunate event like a job loss, or even I've had clients have lost loved ones in the middle of a transaction and ended up backing out. And per the contract, the builder doesn't have to give that money back due to loss of a loved one or something like that. But now past performance is not indicative of future performance. I have to say that, but I can say that in my years of doing this, I've never had a builder keep my client's earnest money deposit when they backed out. Whether my clients are right or wrong, they were always able to get back their earnest money deposit when it comes to new construction. Now, resale is totally different because you're not dealing with a builder, you're dealing with the seller, and they can decide if they're going to give it back or not, whatever. But again, I don't want to say I'm going to be able to keep that on going into perpetuity, but I can say that because the builders aren't trying to ruin relationships, and I can toot my horn, but it's more so my team. Like we do a lot of business in this area, and they're not trying to ruin or sour a relationship over one transaction, knowing that they're going to get that household regardless, right? So I hope this answers your question, random username. And then the credit is toward closing costs. Yeah. Yes. Semper Temper. Greensboro is getting a lot more attention, and buyers are starting to look further out for lower property prices. And in my research for a video I was doing recently talking about top emerging areas in South Carolina, I actually looked up top emerging areas for real estate in North Carolina, and all the Greensboro and Winston-Salem suburbs, I say all, that's an exaggeration. A majority of that list were Winston-Salem and Greensboro suburbs, talking about up and coming emerging real estate areas in North Carolina. So you are right on with that, because Greensboro is what, an hour and a half from Charlotte? It's not that far. Now, once you get past the traffic in Concord and Kannapolis, it really is quite easy to get back and forth to Greensboro. Pizza Sleeves, we're moving to Charlotte and plan on buy 2 homes, one to live in now and one to rent out after we marry. Hope to leverage primary residence. I have, and I think it's very smart. You buy, your partner buys, you're both primary residents at the time because you don't live together, right? But then when you get married, you obviously choose a house you want to live in, and one can be a rental. But I've had clients, they each buy individually, right? And then when they get married, they keep both of those homes as rental properties in North Carolina, and then they buy in South Carolina, the primary residence. And strategy with that is rental properties in North Carolina are taxed the same as primary residences, whereas rental properties in South Carolina are taxed, it says 2% higher, 2% rate higher, but it ends up being about 3 times more taxes than it would be an owner-occupied property. So people like to just be wise with how they maneuver things, to where rental properties, North Carolina, they each have one, but then they buy their primary residence in South Carolina, where when your property primary house is your primary residence, you get a reduced tax bill. And then if you're over 55, you get even, I think it's 65, you get an even lower tax bill. And if you're a veteran, you don't pay any taxes. So like South Carolina has its benefits when you own or occupy property. Now, investment properties is a little bit more difficult to cash flow, but there's tons of investors in South Carolina as well. Last question, because I have to get to this dance for my daughter. We have, I know you mentioned it previously, that you can't say any particular builder is bad, but if I threw out a name, Pulte, can you at least say whether you feel confident about them? I really like Pulte. Now, one thing I'll say about Pulte is, on this channel, I did a long video about Parkside Crossing. Parkside Crossing is a community here in Still Creek, over 800 homes built by Pulte. Excellent product. And actually, I'll put out more videos, because I went recently and toured several other floor plans that they have in that community. Very beautiful, very nice. And not just, most builders can make beautiful homes now, right? But when I say beautiful and nice, I'm thinking about the construction process behind the walls. They did a very good job. They do a very good job. Now, Pulte has different brands. They have something called their Syntex, or not called. Pulte is their main brand. Like, let's say Nike. Nike has 3 different divisions, right? You have Nike, you have Jordan, then you have Converse, right? So Pulte is here, and then they have their Del Webb division, which is their 55 and older communities. And Pulte is nice, but they put all the bells and whistles in the Del Webb community, because they know that Typically, buyers in that 55 and older price point want very nice things, and they're very particular, right? So that price point goes up. And then they have Syntex, where Syntex, you have similar floor plans as Pulte, but they don't use the building process is good, but they don't use the high-end materials that Pulte uses, right? So it really depends on where you're at, what community, because certain communities in certain areas, you can get away with vinyl siding. Other communities by Pulte, you have to do James Hardy plank, right? So it just really depends on as far as the level of materials, but as far as the workmanship, the craftsmanship, I don't have any issues with Pulte whatsoever. Now, I would recommend, no matter who you go with, make sure you get, if you have the opportunity or ability, get a pre-drywall inspection, because all builders, all homes, they're built by humans. There's going to be something wrong with it. My favorite builder in this area is well, I have two favorite. It's Classica and Meritage. Actually, I have three. I like Empire as well. Now I'm over here thinking about my favorite builders. Most undervalued builder that does not build enough homes or have enough communities is Dream Finders. But no matter who the builder is, we want to make sure we do a pre-drywall inspection, right? Pre-drywall inspection where you get to make sure everything's done properly behind the walls. You have the anchor bolts or anchor straps to make sure your home and the studs are properly affixed to the foundation, right? You want to make sure all the studs and trusses are as they should be. You don't have any fraying of the wood. You want to make sure none of the wood has any mold on it, because think about it, when you're outside, these studs, the wood pieces, they're open to the elements, right? If it rained, which it does all the time in the winter here, if it rained, those builders are just taking those wet studs and putting them in place, right? That may cause mold, may cause mildew. You want to make sure you see all those things. And if that is the case, that yes, builders typically have they not typically, they do have a QC, quality control or quality analysis process, but do a third party analysis, because we just went to one maybe a month ago and there was some mold, mildew on some studs. Well, we pointed that out during the pre-drywall walkthrough, and it was supposed to be done. We went out 3-4 days later, it still wasn't done. So we pointed it out again and made sure that they did that, because think about it. Again, home, I have no doubt, like everything else was pretty much perfect in the home. I'm trying to think what might have been wrong with that home. They miswired some things out of place and everything, but that has nothing to do with like the structure of the property. But I believe everything will be done properly in that home now. But think about it, if the drywall would have went up, and we didn't have that pre-drywall inspection, and they didn't look at every stud to see everything and check everything, and then you just put those pieces of drywall on and you have mold and mildew growing behind that drywall, right? So make sure you get that pre-drywall inspection. But then also, before you buy the home, before you have your new home orientation, make sure that you do a final home inspection. Again, no matter if I like the builder, if I think they're solid, if I think they're great, these homes are built by humans. Humans mess up. We make mistakes, and we just want to hold everybody accountable. Now, yes, there will be, different inspectors from the county, from the city and all that checking on the home, but we want to make sure we have a third party that's looking out for our best interest and bring that to their attention. So what's going on? What's going on? So that is it. Thank you all for rocking with me. I know it's early. I know I'm very early. I came on like almost 2 hours before I was supposed to come on. Almost 2 hours before I was supposed to come on, and I didn't realize I was talking all that without I was on the small screen. But we're going to work through it. If you have any questions or thinking about buying, selling, or moving to the greater Charlotte region, reach out to my team and I. I would love to work with you directly. I'll just put it out there. People have reached out. And for the past year, I'll say year, maybe 15 months, I kind of took a step back from the day-to-day stuff because those of you who are unaware, we opened up Lifestyle International Realty, and brought it to the Carolinas. So I've been busy behind the scenes doing that, growing a brokerage, and now I feel comfortable where we are. Am I satisfied? Absolutely not. I want to grow. So if you're a real estate agent looking for a family, a team to support you and want to push you to be better or great and hold you accountable, by all means, come to Lifestyle International Realty. Reach out to me. But I say all that to say, I took a step back from the day-to-day business, and I still sold a lot of homes, way more than the average realtor, but it wasn't the 30 million in production that I'm typically doing, right? 20 to 30 million in production. Well, now that the business is running, doing what it needs to do, we have people in place. I plan on and will be, I was in Spartanburg, I told you, back in the field. I would love to work with you directly. I plan on showing homes, negotiating, listing homes, whatever I can do to help you, the general public. Let me know. And let me know what you want to learn about regarding the Charlotte area. I'm excited to be back on the grind, in the field, day to day, negotiating contracts, seeing exactly what's going on, as opposed to just seeing what all the team is bringing in and looking over their contracts and what's happening. What I love is working with you all. And David, I know I've been MIA. We got to play pickleball. So I look forward to that as we come into this new year. And I even started it, maybe 2-3 months ago, getting more active in the business day to day. So that's my passion. That's my love. And now we got our footing together regarding this business. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I will talk to you all later. Where are we at here?